environmental advocacy organization. And I'm honored to stand here today with Congressman Boyle and Congressman Evans as we celebrate their leadership in the 2017 for defending our environment. Every time there were attacks on our environment, from efforts to undermine clean air protections to allowing more pollution into our waterways, these congressmen stood up again and again against those attacks and fought for the air we breathe and the water we drink. They are, simply put, the top of the class when it comes to keeping our air clean, our water protected, and our special places preserved. It's been a pretty disturbing year when it comes to Congress standing up for our families, health, and our environment. In Pennsylvania, in our annual scorecard, the average environmental scorecard for the Pennsylvania congressional delegation was 39%. That is not just a failing grade, it is an abysmally disastrous grade for our health and our environment. Some have even called this Congress the most anti-environmental Congress ever seen. Each congressman's records that I'm standing with today stand in stark contrast to that and the Trump administration's proposals to gut our environmental protections. They stood up to Congress in the Trump administration's proposals to revoke the Clean Water Rule that protects the drinking water sources for 8 million Pennsylvanians. They fought the rollback of protections for national monuments, including Bears Ears, and they stood up to ensure that we could continue to have a safe climate by defending the Paris Climate Accords. Congressman Boyle and Evans are the environmental champions we need in Congress, not just in their districts, but in every district here in Pennsylvania and across the country, that they will continue to lead the charge to protect the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the places we love. While President Trump undermined the Paris Climate Agreement, Congressman Boyle was organizing constituents to defend climate action at community meetings and speaking on nationally televised efforts about why we needed to defend our environment and why we needed to tackle climate change and build a clean energy economy. It's an honor to present Congressman, gotta get the right one. It's an honor to present Congressman Boyle today with this annual award for being one of the environmental champions we need in Pennsylvania and receiving a top score on our annual scorecard.
Thank you. Thank you. Want to do a picture or? Thank you. You know what? Well, I want to thank, let me see where I put it here. I want to thank Penn Environment so much. It's been such a pleasure to work with Adam and with David and with the entire group for a number of years now. First as a state legislator and now as a member of Congress. It is probably more needed today than at any previous time, certainly in my legislative experience, but also I would say really in my lifetime. I also want to congratulate my friend and colleague Dwight Evans. He's also getting an A+. You'll hear from him a little later. From what I hear, he would get A+s all the time at LaSalle. So this is nothing. This is nothing new. This is nothing new to him. So it's nice to be. It's nice to be on the honor roll with Dwight. And I only wish that there were more of us. This is one of, as I said, the most challenging times in my lifetime if you care about the environment and about our future. We are near a tipping point, and unfortunately the leadership we have from the White House is going in the exact opposite direction. And it's heartbreaking after making so many strides over the last 8 years under President Obama, after the enormous American leadership that was shown in forging the Paris Climate Accord. It was a remarkable achievement, not just on environmental policy, but of U.S. foreign policy. So then, having led the adoption of that agreement, to abrogate from it is a historic mistake. And the judgment of history will not be kind upon those who doubt the reality of climate change. So I thank you for this award. As Adam mentioned, I have hosted a number of town halls in my district specifically on this issue. Which is rather unique. Typically, our town halls are on all sorts of issues, but because of how much I care about all the environmental issues, I've done several in my district specifically on environmental issues. and we'll continue to do so, and we'll continue to fight because literally our planet is at stake. So thank you.
When Congress proposed draconian cuts to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency that would gut the protections we have for our drinking water supply and for our streams like the Wissahickon, Congressman Evans stood up and fought against those. And specifically, he stood with us on the banks of the Schuylkill River back in the fall as we highlighted the consequences of these cuts for our watershed, the millions of people whose drinking water would be threatened, the people that go fishing and swimming and canoeing in our great creeks and our big rivers, and that those cuts would mean more pollution in those waterways. It's, again, an honor for me to present Congressman Evans with the similar award, and I have to note, as a new constituent, relatively new constituent of the Congressman's, it's an honor to say that to be represented by such an environmental champion in D.C. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And to my good colleague, a person I've known an awful long time, Brendan Boyle. He and I had the pleasure of serving in the House together, and it was a real pleasure to be there, but especially David over there. I want to say to all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you as citizens. I tell people the most important title is not congressman, not United States Senator, not president, but citizens. And citizen leadership is extremely important. And here at Penn Environment, you've been demonstrating that to all of us. Because when it's all said and done, it's about the citizens that lead this effort. We just form partnerships with you. And we all understand, may it be our water, may it be our air, may it be our environment, that this is something as stewards that we need to do a better job. We're only in these particular positions temporarily. And it's important that we all be held accountable in this environment. You know, the environment affects all of us. It doesn't know anything about race, doesn't know anything about how much money you make. The fact of the matter is that we all are affected, and not just here. Dr. King talked about, in being that his birthday was a week ago, he talked about a beloved community. And in talking about beloved community, the reality is that is all of us who are collectively working together. So I'm happy to be a part of this with my colleague Brendan Boyle and Penn Environment and all of you, but I'm especially stressing all of you who do what you do every single day to make this a better place and a better world. Again, thank you again for this honor. Thank you very much.
So as we head into 2018, we are lucky to know that these two congressmen and other members of the delegation will fight for our environment. The majority of Pennsylvanians, many who stand behind me, believe that we need a Congress that works to protect our environment, that everyone should have access to clean drinking water, that everyone should be able to enjoy our amazing, beautiful national parks without worry about oil drilling in them or other devastating efforts, and that everyone should have a breath of clean air on a daily basis and not have to worry about suffering asthma attacks and other respiratory problems. I think together, and with the leadership in D.C. of these two congressmen, we can make that happen and continue to ensure we have a clean environment moving ahead. Thank you very much.